How much money you should save for a comfortable retirement? Many Americans are anxious and confused when it comes to saving for retirement. One of those pain points: how much should households be setting aside to give themselves a good chance at financial security in older age? More than half of Americans lack confidence in their ability to retire when they want and to sustain a comfortable life, according to a 2024 poll by the Bipartisan Policy Center. It's easy to see why people are unsure of themselves. Retirement savings is an inexact science. It's really a hard question to answer, said Philip Chow, a certified financial planner and founder of Experiential Wealth, based in Cabin John, Maryland. Everyone's answer is different, Chow said. There is no magic number. Why? Savings rates change from person to person based on factors such as income and when they started saving. It's also inherently impossible for anyone to know when they'll stop working, how long they'll live, or how financial conditions may evolve, all of which impact the value of one's nest egg and how long it must last. That said, there are guideposts and truisms that will give many savers a good shot at getting it right, experts said. 15% is probably the right place to start. I think a total savings rate of 15% is probably the right place to start, said CFP David Blanchett, head of retirement research at PGIM, the asset management arm of Prudential Financial. The percentage is a share of savers' annual income before taxes. It includes any money workers might get from a company 401k match. More from Personal Finance, the retirement planning gap, hidden in plain sight. Harvard expert. Many Americans feel behind on retirement planning. Delaying retirement may not rescue you from poor savings. Those with lower earnings, say less than $50,000 a year, can probably save less, perhaps around 10%, Blanchett said, as a rough approximation. Conversely, higher earners, perhaps those who make more than $200,000 a year, may need to save closer to 20%, he said. These disparities are due to the progressive nature of Social Security. Benefits generally account for a bigger chunk of lower earners' retirement income relative to higher earners. Those with higher salaries must save more to compensate. If I make $5 million, I don't really care about Social Security because it won't really make a dent, Chow said. How to think about retirement savings. Households should have a basic idea of why they're saving, Chow said. Savings will help cover, at a minimum, essential expenses such as food and housing throughout retirement, which may last decades, Chow said. Hopefully, there will be additional funds for spending on non-essential items such as travel. This income generally comes from a combination of personal savings and Social Security. Between those sources, households generally need enough money each year to replace about 70% to 75% of the salaries they earned just before retirement, Chow said. Fidelity, the largest administrator of 401k plans, pegs that replacement rate at 55% to 80% for workers to be able to maintain their lifestyle in retirement. Of that, about 45 percentage points would come from savings, Fidelity wrote in an October analysis. To get there, people should save 15% a year from age 25 to 67, the firm estimates. The rate may be lower for those with a pension, it said. The savings rate also rises for those who start later. Someone who starts saving at 35 years old would need to save 23% a year, for example, Fidelity estimates. An example of how much to save. Here's a basic example from Fidelity of how the financial calculus might work. Let's say a 25-year-old woman earns $54,000 a year. Assuming a 1.5% raise each year, after inflation, her salary would be $100,000 by age 67. Her savings would likely need to generate about $45,000 a year, adjusted for inflation, to maintain her lifestyle after age 67. This figure is 45% of her $100,000 income before retirement, which is Fidelity's estimate for an adequate personal savings rate. Since the worker currently gets a 5% dollar-for-dollar match on her 401k plan contributions, she'd need to save 10% of her income each year, starting with $5,400 this year, for a total of 15% toward retirement. However, 15% won't necessarily be an accurate guide for everyone, experts said. The more you make, the more you have to save, Blanchett said. I think that's a really important piece, given the way Social Security benefits adjust based upon your historical earnings history. Keys to success: start early and save often. There are some keys to general success for retirement, experts said. Start early and save often, Chow said. That's the main thing. This helps build a savings habit and gives more time for investments to grow, experts said. If you can't save 15%, then save 5%, save whatever you can, even 1%, so you get in the habit of knowing you need to put money away, Blanchett said. Start when you can, where you can. Every time you get a raise, save at least a portion instead of spending it all. Blanchett recommends setting aside at least a quarter of each raise. Otherwise, your savings rate will lag your more expensive lifestyle. Many people invest too conservatively, Chow said. Investors need an adequate mix of assets such as stocks and bonds to ensure investments grow adequately over decades. Target date funds aren't optimal for everyone, but provide a pretty good asset allocation for most savers, Blanchett said. Save for retirement in a tax-advantaged account like a 401k plan or an individual retirement account, rather than a taxable brokerage account, if possible. The latter will generally erode more savings due to taxes, Blanchett said. Delaying retirement is the silver bullet to make your retirement savings last longer, Blanchett said. One caution: workers can't always count on this option being available. Don't forget about vesting rules for your 401k match. You may not be entitled to that money until after a few years of service. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.